A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to our special guests, Dr. Matna Sridevi Ahir, Madam Shida and family, Associate Professor Dr. Fumitaka Furuoka, Dr. Larissa Nikitina, Dr. Rohaidi Faidi, Dr. Kaori Kimura, Mr. Tsukamoto Norihisa, Director of the Japan Foundation Kuala Lumpur, our speaker for today, Mr. Yosuke Uchiyama, and our beloved guest for today. Welcome to the Japan Foundation Kuala Lumpur. My name is Farah Amar, and I will be your host and moderator for today's session. Welcome to our first ever JFKL physical session of the JFKL Talk Series. This series began in 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it started off as a virtual program to share more about Japan through the lenses of professionals in various fields. The first 5 episodes are all up on our YouTube channel, so do take a look whenever you have the time. As for the flow of today's event, the first segment will be about 20 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break, and the second segment will take also about 20 minutes, and then we will have a Q&A session right after. Also, please be informed that today's session will also be recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Okay. For the 6th episode of this series, we are very happy and delighted to have a very special speaker with us today. A little bit on the background of our speaker, Mr. Yosuke Uchiyama. He hails all the way from Hokkaido, Japan, and is a PhD candidate at the Department of East Asian Studies, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Universiti Malaya. His specialization is Japanese studies, focusing on popular culture and also transportation. His publication and works can be found in international journals and online newspapers, such as the International Journal of East Asian Studies, Journal Economy Malaysia, Malay Mail, and The Star. So as for the topic for today, it begins with a question. Japanese ride-sharing solves social problems? Lessons for Malaysia. So does ride-sharing solve the social problems in Japan? And how can us here in Malaysia learn from it? We will leave it up to the speaker to answer the questions for us today. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Yosuke Uchiyama. Mr. Uchiyama, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much for your introduction, Farah-san. Also, first of all, I'd like to thank to the Japan Foundation Kuala Lumpur for inviting me as a guest speaker. Also, thank you very much for coming today for the distinguished guest. My name is Yosuke Uchiyama from Universiti Malaya. So today, I'd like to talk about the Japanese ride-sharing connected with social problems, then how we can provide the lessons for Malaysia. Okay. Oh, maybe we wait. Okay, I think next slide. Okay, I think we. Yes, sorry. Thank you very much. So first 20 minutes, let me talk about the overview of ride sharing in Japan, also the related national issues in Japan. Then we also have 5 minutes break. Then another 20 minutes, I'd like to share the model cases of ride sharing to solve social issues in Japan. Also how we can provide a lesson for Malaysia ride sharing based on the experience in Japan. Thank you, Ande. So overview of ride sharing. So what is ride sharing? If you hear the word of ride sharing, what kind of things you can come up with? Grab, yes, true. Grab, yes. For you also ever heard about Uber? Yeah, Asia. You know this one? InDriver, yes. Also, Gojo, yes. So ride sharing means the activities to effectively use underutilized resources by sharing vacant seat. This is considered a part of the sharing economy. Yeah. Probably, as you know, sharing economy, for instance, like Airbnb, like accommodation sharing, also skill sharing, money sharing, something like this. This is ride sharing also part of this. So we can broadly divide into two types of ride sharing. First of all, ride hailing, we call e-hailing in Malaysia. Also carpooling. Okay. So ride hailing is more like a profit oriented. Carpooling is more like cost share oriented. Okay, so this is the detail. Probably if you can imagine how you can use Grab, you could easily imagine. Just you can book the car by online app, then you can just pay the fixed fare. Now, of course, sometimes if you use Grab taxi, maybe you also need to pay it based on the distance, right? But anyway, the fare will be the driver's wages. The app can also get the commission. This is why I call profit oriented. But in the case of carpooling, okay, probably in Malaysia it's quite rare, but in Japan we have this kind of application. Okay, driver register the place of departure and arrival. Like you register place A and place B. Okay, then you just upload it. Then after this, passengers see the driver's registration. Then if they want to follow the drivers, they will send a request. Then once the driver approves it, this kind of matching succeed. Then after driving, passenger only pay the divided cost, meaning to say the actual cost from A to B. So for instance, petrol or toll, etc. So this is why I call cost share oriented. Okay, so this is ride sharing types in Malaysia and Japan. So this is more Japan than Malaysia. Okay, so how we can differentiate these kind of activities, basically whether they have chargeability or not. For instance, in the case of Malaysia, ride hailing, as I mentioned, profit basis, driver can earn by using special license, register special license, using online app. You can use your own cars. Of course, taxi drivers can also use this. For instance, Grab application, AH application, right? But on the other hand, in Japan, in the case of Japan, this ride hailing is prohibited by the Road Transportation Act. So this is why they cannot use this ride hailing. But instead, only drivers who has taxi license can operate. My meaning is they can use Uber or Grab kind of things. Okay. Of course, also that in Japan they allow us to use carpooling as well. This is more cost share based. Okay. Using general license, use online app, use your own cars. Okay, so next, I'd like to explain about what kind of relation they have between the domestic issue and transportation issue in Japan. Okay. Okay, I put three numbers. Okay, probably it's very difficult to guess. So, actually, these two are related to Japan. These are more related to Malaysia. Okay. Actually, this is the aging rate. Yes, in the case of Japan. Then aging rate in Malaysia. So meaning to say, almost 1/4 of Japanese population are facing over 65 years old. But in Malaysia, people who are over 65 years old are 7.4% as of 2023 data. Okay. Then in Japan, we also have this kind of data. This is depopulation rate as of April 2022. So almost half of our areas are facing a depopulation. Okay. So what is depopulation? Depopulation is calculated based on the Depopulation Act in Japan. So depopulated area means municipalities, like areas, cannot provide the public services, like enough public services, because of the decline of population, also the financial weakness. Of course, several reasons. We have several reasons. For instance, migration from that place to another place, also environmental national issues. But at least 51.5% of Japanese areas are facing this kind of depopulation. Okay. So this map shows the depopulated area. The green areas all are facing depopulation. Yes. For example, maybe here, this Hokkaido, I think most of the cities are facing, towns are facing depopulation. Maybe if you can go down Shimane, also almost depopulation. I think around Kochi also around depopulation. Also Tohoku area also. Even a little bit difficult to see, but part of Tokyo also facing depopulation based on the data. Okay, so in this talk, I'd like to focus on Hokkaido, because this is very unique and also very visible. We can see the depopulation easily. This yellow line shows the fully depopulated. This green line is kind of deemed populated. Also, also this pink line is kind of partially depopulated. But if you only see the yellow line, fully populated, around 80%, 85% of areas are facing depopulation. Meaning say 80% of cities or towns or areas cannot provide enough public services. Yes. Due to the decline of population, also financial weakness of the municipalities. So if depopulation happens, what is the problem? What is the relationship between the depopulation and the transportation issues? So here, start from here. The depopulation, decreasing birth rate, aging population. Actually, it intrigues the lack of public transportation, because if the decline of birth rate, if decline the aging population, etc., the population will be decreasing, will decrease. As a result, of course, decline in users. Of course, lack of financial resources, because doesn't have enough population. Then next, what is happening in accessibility to life infrastructure? Because if we don't have public transportation, even cars, we cannot access anywhere except walking, right? So this I call limited access to the supermarket, hospitals, due to the lack of transport. So this leads to the creation of vulnerable transportation users. I call it, this is transportation refugees. This happens in Japan. Especially elderly people who cannot drive their own cars. So I was talking about more like a depopulated area, 51.5%. But how about urban areas? Yes, urban areas also have some issues related to transportation. Decline of taxi drivers, inbound demand, means a number of tourists to Japan, was high demand of certain time. Please let me explain one by one. So this graph shows the number of taxi drivers in Japan from 2000 to 2020. Actually, regarding the number of taxi drivers, it peaked 2005, but from here, keep declining. Let's go deep into the taxi industry, a little bit. Aging of taxi drivers. For example, in 2022, the average of taxi driver, in the case of men, 59 years old, women, 45 years old. Yes. There are some reasons. Because for hiring of taxi drivers, in the case of Japan, there's less opportunities for fresh graduates. So fresh graduate cannot apply to be a taxi driver, because this is considered the second career after the retirement, or once the experience in public or private. So these kind of chronic industrial relation leads to the decline of the number of taxi drivers. Okay, so the next I will talk about inbound demand. So this graph shows the number of foreigners visiting Japan from 2003 to as of January 2024. Okay, from here 2003 to 2012, actually almost the numbers almost didn't really change. But of course, 2009 we have financial crisis. 2011 we have big earthquake in Japan. But from here, 2012 and 2013, especially around here, under the second Abe regime, we have previous Prime Minister we call Shinzo Abe. Actually, he decided to promote more tourism. Okay. This is from 2013. Since then, suddenly they reached 10 million people. Then after this, they're growing up sharply. Of course, until 2019, they reached over 30 million people actually visiting Japan. From here, because of COVID, of course, Japan also imposed a lockdown. So foreigners, tourists really couldn't visit. But 2003, once they eased the restriction, already reached 25 million people. Then even as of January, already 2 million people are visiting Japan. As you can see from here to here, maybe this intrigued over tourism. Actually, this is also one of the issues in Japan. If over tourism, how about transport? Yeah, the question is, the transportation capacity is enough or not? Right? Okay, so this is a kind of third reason. Certain time they cannot use taxi, etc. Okay, this is Japanese, written Japanese, but if I translate here, I cited from NHK. This is serious lack of taxi drivers, not only urban areas but also rural areas. So everywhere they're facing the lack of taxi. Actually, this photo shows Shizuoka station. After finishing the last train, this is kind of transportation refugee because they miss the final train. They cannot go back to their house, so they make a line. But why this line happened? Because they don't have taxi. If you also go to YouTube, you can also see a lot of issues. They basically mention lack of taxi. Okay, so in order to overcome these issues, Japanese government decided to ease the restriction. So limited lifting the ban of ride-sharing from April next month. Okay. So from April, what actually change? What will change? Who can drive, for example? Actually, anyone can drive. Yes, as long as you have driver's license. But they must be trained by taxi companies. One can use limited areas and time zones, especially during the high demand time. But these limited areas is kind of problematic. It's because in Japan we have 47 prefectures, okay? But only 4 prefectures, Tokyo, Kanagawa, and Aichi, and Kyoto. Then time zone is also, it really depends whether they allow or not. So how about other 42 prefectures? 43 prefectures. Now, how to manage these like a new ride-hailing is managed by taxi companies for safety. Also, regarding licenses, government will abolish the geographical test for taxi drivers. Also, in order to integrate the foreign drivers, like international drivers, they also starting using multilingual languages to let them pass the test. But from here, what we could see is that there are measures to improve the urban center transportation issues. Also, actually, this is important. These which changes that kind of policies to support the taxi industry. As you can see, what I talk is about all related taxi drivers, how, right? So the question is, where is the transportation support for other 50% of depopulated areas, also other 42 prefectures? Also, where is the original concept of ride sharing from here? Okay, so, okay, almost break time, so a bit early. Yes, but okay, almost 20 minutes. So before break time, okay, so next, I will talk about Hokkaido because I want to in order to provide more like a Japan studies kind of things, because now I'm focusing on more like transportation issues. But I want you to know, let you know about Hokkaido. Also, what kind of activities happen, especially I use carpooling in Tesho town here. Also, from these cases, what kind of challenges we have of ride sharing in rural areas in Japan. Also, finally, what kind of lesson we can provide based on the experience of Japan. Okay. Okay, so now more like cultural studies. Okay, so okay. By the way, have you ever anyone been to Hokkaido before? Thank you very much. Okay. Where did you visit? Where did you visit? Chitose. Chitose. You've been to Sapporo? Sapporo. Okay. This is my hometown. Yes. 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 Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, now I try to focus on Hokkaido because we can see the unique cases of transportation. Okay. So Hokkaido is a northern island. We have, maybe we can say we have 5 islands. If I include Okinawa, then it's famous, it's beautiful wilderness, also powder snow, delicious seafood, indigenous culture as well. Yes. I think from Tokyo to Hokkaido, if you use flight, you can go around 1 hour 30 minutes, 20-30 minutes. Yes. Okay. So this is kind of short video.
Hokkaido is the northernmost and second largest island of Japan, known for its stunning natural beauty, rich culture, and delicious cuisine. In this video, we will explore some of the hidden charms of this amazing destination. Sapporo Snow Festival features amazing snow and ice sculptures, winter fun, food, and music every February. Hokkaido is a paradise for nature and wildlife lovers. You can see rare and endangered animals like cranes, bears, and owls in the wild or in conservation facilities. Hokkaido's hot springs, or onsen, relax and heal you. Enjoy the mineral-rich waters and scenic views of nature. Try Noborobetsu, Jozenki, or Lake Toya for the best onsen. Hokkaido is famous for its fresh seafood and local dishes, such as miso ramen, soup curry, and jingisuken. You can also enjoy dairy products and the sweet Hokkaido melon. Hokkaido is a winter wonderland with adventure, culture, and relaxation. It will captivate you and make you love Japan.
Okay. So this was a brief introduction to Hokkaido. I just rely on some AI sources. Then yes, they actually summarize instead of me. Yes, Hokkaido is blah blah. Yes, something. If I also ask ChatGPT, then they list up 5 attractive things. Seems Snow Festival is the most famous. Yes. Okay. Actually, this is Malaysia island. Then, if we compare the size with Hokkaido, it's actually quite big. Yes, but yes. Oh, sorry, I didn't include Borneo. So maybe, yeah. If you are interested, yes, you can also compare. Okay. Okay. Actually, you can also find a lot of Hokkaido things in Malaysia. For example, Royce, yes. You know Royce, this chocolate brand. Also, we call Chateau's. I saw in KLCC, Surya, also Hokkaido baked cheese style, they put Hokkaido, so Hokkaido. Yes. Also Santoka, this is also Hokkaido ramen. Nowadays, I didn't know that, but this is called Yoshiyama Shoten. This is also miso ramen shop, famous miso ramen shop in Japan. Also, I didn't include it, but we all, actually Nitori. Have you ever heard of Nitori? Nitori also actually come from Hokkaido. Yes. But I think I need to tell you one thing. Okay. Actually, this Hokkaido baked cheesecake cheese tart is a kind of fake. You know? Yes. Yes. Because from Hokkaido citizen, like me, actually this is kind of imitate from Kinotoya. We call Kinotoya in Hokkaido. If you eat Kinotoya, you can see the same baked cheesecake tart. Yeah. So if you are interested, please try in Hokkaido. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now I go into the transportation structure in Hokkaido. Okay. These lines are all related to transportation. I also put the blue line. This is kind of main city of Hokkaido. Okay. Okay. So here, around here is a capital city. We call Sapporo. Around Sapporo area, we have a lot of lines here. Something like spreading like this. Yes. On the other hand, you could also see around here. Actually, around here, lack of transport, because you cannot see around here almost nothing. Yes. Okay. So Hokkaido's transportation infrastructure can be regarded core periphery structure. Means the core is here, but periphery is kind of side, like spreading. Yes. The Hokkaido depicts this kind of structure in terms of transportation. Especially these kind of areas, car is necessary. I was in Sapporo, but even in Sapporo we need a car, especially during the winter, because we have very strong winter. So it's very difficult to use public transport because frequently transportation is stopping. Okay. So we also need to consider this fact. Around over 85% are facing a depopulation because of aging society. So if cannot drive, yes. Right? So this is a problematic. Yes. Okay. So Teshio Town, as I mentioned before, this is also part of the area where actually facing depopulation, also transportation shortages, transportation issues. So next, I'd like to more deep into the Teshio Town situations. Okay. So let me literally highlight the situations in Teshio Town, northern part of Hokkaido. In Teshio, since 1987, almost 30 years ago, the railway abolished. Yes, to go to the nearest city, we call Wakkanai. This is the northest city in Japan, Wakkanai. Here is Teshio. So they actually abolished the line, direct line from Teshio to Wakkanai. Therefore, around 98% of townspeople feel inconvenient to live without a car. Teshio is kind of quite small town because the population itself is around 3,000. Okay. Another issue here is that from Teshio to Wakkanai, around 70 kilo away. If you try to access to Teshio from Teshio to Wakkanai, you need one possibility is you use car. If you use car, I think one hour. It's just one way. But if you try to use bus, then go to another city, another town, then use train, it will take 3 hours. But the problem here is, if you use bus and train and reach this city, Wakkanai, the last train is 1 p.m. So if you miss 1 p.m., you cannot go back without public transport. So you need to use, maybe you need to stay one night. Yes. Okay. But if you use taxi, you need to bear around the 20,000 Japanese yen, around 700 ringgit, just one way. Okay. So of course, these people will face inaccessibility to infrastructure, because in Teshio there's no general hospital, big hospital, or even commercial facility like Aeon. So actually, to access to these kind of facilities, you need to go to Wakkanai, but doesn't have. So of course, those who are facing these kind of transporting issues, they will decrease the opportunity to go out. So this actually leads to indirectly affect the loneliness or even dementia, etc. However, in the town itself, they're also facing lack of financial resources. For instance, if they try to install the additional transport, something like by public bus from here to here, Teshio to Wakkanai, 1 year they need to spend 26 million Japanese yen. It's very huge, so they are impossible. Okay. So they need alternative transport in order to solve these issues. Also, I'd like to highlight another issue of Hokkaido we call food desert. Food desert means accessibility of food shops. Okay. So, according to the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries in Japan, food desert means food inaccessible population, as elderly people who live more than 500% from a shop and who do not have access to a car. Okay, so this graph, please see. This graph actually describes the percentage of population aged 75 years and over in Hokkaido with food inaccessibility. You can see this orange, the orange one is over 40% of people are facing this food desert. So almost all cities are facing. Teshio is one of them, over 40%. Okay. In Teshio, 36% of population are aged over 65. 49% is aged over 75. So, okay, of course, this leads to the reducing opportunity to go out. As I mentioned, this induces loneliness and onset of dementia. Then this also affects the increase in medical care costs as well. So from here, from this point of view, all are actually connected to the transportation access. Okay. Therefore, Teshio Town decided to install the new alternative transport we call Teshio Wakkanai Carpooling Project. This is originally introduced by the former deputy mayor from Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2016. Then after 6-month demonstration, they started full-scale operation. So this project is recognized one of the model cases for local development using transportation. Yes. But access is from Teshio and Wakkanai only. Since they didn't know any know-how how to operate and manage this kind of carpooling, they collaborated with the Notteco, which is the biggest carpooling platform in Japan. Here, this is kind of registration things. The driver must be resident under 70 years old. The user also resident over 80 years old. If less, they need to have parents or any adults. Okay. So this is actual cost from Teshio to Wakkanai. If they bear the cost around 600 to 900 each way, they can go to Wakkanai. Because previously I mentioned, if I use taxi, we need to pay 20,000 Japanese yen. If you use bus, at least 5,200, just one way. So multiple definitely over 10,000, 310 ringgit now. Okay? So this is quite reasonable price they can access to Wakkanai. So because of this project, there are some outcomes, positive outcomes, internal outcomes, external outcomes. For internal outcomes, this is as of November 2022, around 112 register they achieved. Also, they also achieved 822 driving. Also, financially, around 26% reduction they achieved compared to paying 26 million, because they just need to bear the cost of carpooling insurance for drivers, 200,000. So psychologically also good effect to resident, because residents feel pressure to interact with drivers. This actually protect the loneliness, dementia, etc. Also low-cost service. Externally, Teshio Town is recognized as pioneer town. They also awarded as the first sharing city in Hokkaido. Also, they have a lot of public-private collaborations as well. The other public popularity, their advertising effect of approximately 300 million Japanese yen. Of course, there are a lot of challenges they are still facing. For instance, lack of drivers. They are excessively relying on 3 or 4 drivers. Yes, because under the current scheme, as I mentioned in the previous slide, there are no incentives because carpooling, cost share based. Also planning constraint for unplanned journey. Also, because we also need to, who actually need to take into account if the driver have accident. So drivers actually caring about this kind of possibility to have accident. Also regulatory barriers, as I mentioned. In order to have incentives, and town officer keep negotiating with the ministry, but they all decline. All incentive proposals they decline. Also, we need to have some promotion with the spirit of mutual aid, because as I mentioned, excessive reliance on around 3 or 4 drivers. So in order to increase the drivers, we need to educate residents how important it is. Also, since most of the users are kind of elderly, they are facing a digital divide. Meaning to say, they cannot book by themselves. Yeah, so they need to ask the town officers. Then instead, town officers do everything for them, booking or matching everything. Yes. The town officer is only one person in Teshio. Okay, but the users are, as I mentioned, around 822 driving. He all need to do everything from 1 to 100. Okay, so as a sustainable management, as I mentioned, we also need to take into account how we can increase the people who can help this project. Also limitation capacity as well. Okay, so this is the one data, carpooling performance in Teshio Town from 2017 to 2022. This orange line shows number of passengers in Teshio. These blue lines are drivers' participations. Okay, so they've never reached enough supply. So chronic shortage of supply. Okay. So this graph actually shows the reason for not involving volunteer drivers. Why they don't want to be drivers. Okay. So I think the most of them answer, 38% people answer busy at works. This makes sense. But next 4 reasons: afraid of accident, not going to Wakkanai, not prefer long journeys with strangers, not prefer to take strangers in my own car. So probably this can be covered by spreading the spirit of mutual aid, because probably this actually this intrigue from the lack of spirit of mutual aid. Also here, not paid enough. Some people answer like this. So we definitely need to improve the incentive schemes. This is another data from customers. They're willing to pay over 1,000 yen. So maximum 2,000 they are willing to pay. But we don't have schemes. That's what we cannot do. This is a problem. Okay, so except Teshio, I also identified that 30 municipalities are doing carpooling operations. Yes, recognized by Sharing Economy Association, which is the biggest association to do the sharing activities in Japan. Also Ministry. Common issues are same. Most of the areas are facing depopulation, although town or city scale, whatever. Also, some areas are transportation void areas. Okay, so now please let me summarize the situation in ride sharing in Japan. Also, let me suggest based on the act. These three are current regulation. Okay, what we can use. This is an except from exceptional acts. Also, this is a kind of suggestion. The government or professional body never done. Okay, phase 1. Okay, as I told in the introduction, Japanese ride sharing are prohibited by the Road Transportation Act here. So mean to say only carpooling are allowed. But phase 2, municipalities, in certain municipalities, they can also use welfare transport. Mean to say, we can use paid transport in elderly people who meet the conditions. But this welfare transport, the criteria is very strict. So most of them cannot use. Yeah. Just if you are around 80 years old, then you cannot use because you don't meet the criteria. We also have private paid passenger transport. This is kind of e-hailing, but highly regulated by the ministry and regulation. But so far, around 80 plus municipalities use this transport. Okay, so phase 4, as Teshio did, we can use exceptional act, means that we can make use of carpooling services. Or phase 5, from April, government will ease the restriction. But the problem is, the focus is urban area, not the populated area. Also, the scale is also quite limited. So phase 6, we need a new scheme for practices areas like Teshio. The major issue is only one. We need to revise the incentive schemes. We need to allow them to construct the incentive scheme to sustain the operation. Although now they have drivers, maybe they won't be able to get any drivers anymore after 1 year, 2 years. This is after the interview by the Teshio town officers, I realized. Okay, so this is last part. So lesson for Malaysian ride sharing. Okay. So ride sharing in Japan, Malaysia. Okay, let me explain from Japan. As a background, we are facing aging society, depopulation, lack of door-to-door transport. Therefore, but we cannot use e-hailing, only use carpooling, cost share base. But problem is lack of drivers, lack of legal support based on the Teshio case. The challenge is mutuality incentive schemes, managerial actors. But in the context of Malaysia, the background is completely different from Japan. Because the original background to build a Grab is there are need of alternative to hazardous like a dangerous door-to-door transport. Right? This is the original intention why Grab was introduced. Yes. Therefore, the regulatory bodies, ministry, allow us to do e-hailing. profit generation. The problem is more like related to e-hailing. For example, price hike for customers as driver status. They don't have enough, whether they have enough social welfare or not, social security or not. Also, we also need to take into account conflict with taxi drivers. So challenges here is more like platform system, also the supplementary legal support, right? Okay, so now we understand the difference between Malaysia and Japan. The premise is different, but we could see some differences that we can provide for Malaysia from Japanese experience. Okay, so this shows the Malaysian railway network. Something like looks all they cover the most of the states. Then in KL, Kranbali area, yeah, of course, quite convenient. Therefore, I extract the below median population density in states. Okay. So we have Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan, Perak, Terengganu, Sabah, Pahang, Sarawak. These states are below a median population density. So meaning to say, they have possibility to exist some rural areas with less population and lack of public transportation. Okay, so from now, let me explain. Let me provide some cases based on my case studies. Okay, so this is kind of potential practice of ride sharing in Malaysia. For example, Cameron Highland, Pahang. Yes. In Cameron Highland, we cannot use Grab. Yes. So therefore, basically, we need to use by our own car, or local taxi, tourist bus, or rental bike, or even car. But the problem here is it's quite difficult to get taxis in the tourist areas due to heavy traffic jam during the weekend. Okay, so this is my experience. But I went to one hill. Okay, then because it's famous that I saw tourist guide and it was famous, so I went to the hill on Sunday. Then I wanted to go back, so I tried to call taxi companies, but they all rejected. The reason is because heavy traffic. So what I need to do is that I need to wait until 7 p.m. But my bus is 6. So what I need to do is I need to walk from here to center. Yes, taking around 1.5 hours. Right? Very hot. But fortunately, one driver helped me to drop me off to the station. It's kind of carpooling because he was a truck driver. But this case, in this context, we can also make use of carpooling in the area because this doesn't have any conflict with local taxi because local taxi cannot provide the services, right? Even tourist bus or rental bike, they don't have these kind of services on the hill. So another case is Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. So at that time I was staying in the Kingfisher. Okay, I don't if anyone knows. Sorry, hopefully someone knows. But this area, no train and less bus. So mean to say we need to use car, bike, or Grab. Yes, even Maxim. Yeah. The bus is every 30 minutes or 1 hour during the weekend. Okay. At this time, I was staying in the university dormitory. But in order to go to campus, I need to use bus, okay, or Grab. So if I go somewhere, Grab is necessary. Well, like me. Right? So this, of course, for student, little bit financially burden, right? So if you can make use of this kind of carpooling, it's okay. Or even in the university area is also fine, because I saw around the dorm a lot of cars, student cars are there, but they didn't use. Yes, probably they use, but when I see a lot of cars are parking. So if we have the kind of spirit of mutual aid, probably we can operate this kind of carpooling service even in this kind of area. Okay. Well, this would be the potential application of Japanese-like carpooling. So as a summary, okay. So based on these presentation slides, we learn in Malaysia, I think ride-sharing business is quite good. We need to learn the system and registration to support drivers' incentive and the customer convenience through the ride-sharing. For this, Japan need to absorb from their experience. But Malaysia can also learn from Japan, because profit driver operations sometimes may miss the potential needs. Like me happens, such as rural areas, sparsely populated areas, like mountainous areas, hill, less populated areas. Also, mutual aid, we can also learn from Japanese case. Cooperative transport infrastructure creation to address traffic shortages. Maybe in the future, Malaysia will also happen, probably. So from now, maybe we can prepare for in order to overcome these kind of issues that now Japan is facing. Okay. Okay. So as a summary, okay, this is my final words. Maybe around center here is kind of sweet spot for the sustainable transport infrastructure. Okay. So probably here, if we could reach here, probably our ride sharing is more like sustainable and more strong, more rigid. Okay. So, okay, this is my references. So thank you very much for listening. Okay. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yosuke Uchiyama, for the wonderful talk. I think we can immediately begin with the Q&A session. So if anyone has a question, you can either raise your hand or you can walk to the microphone and ask your questions. Yes, you may go.
Thank you, Uchiyama-san, for the presentation. So I noticed during your presentation, you can clearly see that Malaysia and Japan is like a reflection of our problem and your problem. So, but I noticed it's actually I'm not sure on the details, but in the Tokyo town you mentioned just now, actually the key problem is actually railway. Because when there is no infrastructure, so we end up creating like a post problem. You can prevent your disease, but instead you just keep taking pills. So, but in Malaysia is the opposite side, because even in the city centre, I think all of us have this issue. We over rely on that kind of like Grab or something, and then there is lack of real infrastructure. So even now the government of Malaysia has many issues on how to move forward, because we are lacking on the investment previously. So if we invest now, it's much more getting higher. Unlike Japan, there is some good points. I'm also sure you did study on the urban area.
Well, it shows more like rural, so I also try to see the rural.
Okay. But from Malaysia point of view, because I can go more details, but I think that the issue is quite a big problem for us also. And then I just like to add, you mentioned to study just now on the Cameron and the Kota Kinabalu one. So what I know, in Cameron they are trying to build a rail, but what I heard is more on like tourists. So it's like inside of the Cameron Highlands, not like linking from KL going to there. So me personally, I don't like that idea, because it's actually just solving one part. When, as you mentioned earlier, many people want to go to Cameron from KL for something without, maybe I don't want to take a bus or car. Even last 2 years ago, I went, had issue with a traffic jam, because Cameron is like a mountainous area. So even how many cars you put or taxi, it won't fit because it's already limited area. So I think at the end of the day, that big infrastructure is much more important rather than we keep solving like small, and then as I mentioned at the Tosho issue just now, at the first stage it looks okay, but after a while it will decline. So I think the issue maybe in Malaysia will also feel the same thing. So I don't know, maybe you have your points on my point on it. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for pointing out. And what you say is all true. Yeah, I agree with you. Totally agree with you. Yes. Regarding Teshio, why the number of users are decreasing because of COVID? Because most of the users are elderly, so Teshio town itself doesn't want them to infect the COVID at a time. Yeah, so they actually restrict the number of carpooling from Teshio to Wakkanai. This is one of the reasons. Also, I think regarding the cases of Cameron Highland, as you highlighted, I agree. This is just based on my experience, right? But yes, even as a tourist, because I'm not local, so I was not really sure about Cameron Highland. Just wanted to enjoy. Then I used bus. I went there. But as you say, but now you say government try to install some infrastructure inside of Cameron Highland to let us more convenient. But yeah, when I went there, still doesn't have. So hopefully they will have. But maybe as a temporary, maybe if we can make use of this carpooling kind of things, as you say, because the car is limited. But I'm sure a lot of vacant seat. I saw the taxi driver, a lot of truck drivers, and not only truck drivers, but also some cars to go to hill. But they are basically just one or two passengers. But if at least we have four seat and maybe two. If we make use of two vacant seat, maybe issues like me will decrease, right? So, but as we know how to, how to start the operation is also quite challenging, right? So, this regarding these cases, maybe we need to cooperate with local taxi companies or even some local government, or even Grab side as well. Yes, yes. But this is, I need to go into, I need to research more about this. Then maybe I need to suggest, yes, cooperate with a lot of professionals like you. Yes. Okay. So thank you very much. Yes.
That was a wonderful answer. Does anyone else have any more questions? Yes. How about I pass the microphone to you?
Okay, first, thank you for the opportunity. As the data that you provide showing that Japan shows a large number of elderly people, and ride-sharing can help relieve feelings of loneliness. But then, meanwhile, in Malaysia, the elderly population is not as large as Japan. So, looking from psychology perspective, do you think it is possible to implement carpooling in Malaysia?
Okay, in the case of, thank you very much for your questions. First of all, since the rise of, we could experience the rise of e-hailing, it's a little bit challenging to go back to carpooling. This is a reality, because we can already, because as the government already allow us to make a profit using e-hailing, also we also feel comfortable to use e-hailing. It's very difficult to go back to the carpooling side because they cannot provide any profit. They cannot feel. So that's why that is important. Also challenging. Why? How to build a mature spirit, as I mentioned. But Malaysia as a premise is different. Yes, because start from because in the case of Malaysia, they start from decreasing. In order to overcome the dangerous taxi experience, right? This is why originally Grab was installed. But in Japan, taxi drivers, the quality is very nice. But the problem is taxi industry is quite nice, service is quite nice. This is why government also want to protect, taxi driver also want to protect, because if the e-hiring kind of service come to Japan, they feel fear because maybe will be more cheaper because they are not really professional. Even Japanese people are more looking for safety, for example, right? So I think to your question, as a premise, a bit difficult, but as I mentioned, in certain area, for example, like we have some research about around campus. In the campus, we can use carpooling with students. Some students possess cars, but they just park around there. But if they can just share the cost of petrol, everything, maybe it'll be better. Yes, I think just from small town, small place like campus, we can start and then gradually improve this kind of carpooling spirit. But cannot be like Japan. Yes, difficult because as long as e-hiring is still exists. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, the guest beside you. Go.
First of all, arigatou gozaimasu for the wonderful talk. And just now you mentioned like the carpooling could be on campuses. I know you've mentioned a lot about rural areas, but I'm more curious, like in Japan, universities, like is it common for carpooling between university students?
It's not common at all. Yes, even less than Malaysia. Maybe those who are studying in Japan, maybe you will know. I don't know whether you ever heard about the carpooling, but I know some areas, some cities. Even in Tokyo, we have carpooling kind of things, but the scale is quite small. So, but we can do it. But since in Japan public transport is better, the installation of public transport is better, we don't really need to use car. Yes, if we consider the cost and the effect, kind of cost, maybe cost is higher, so like a negative point is higher. How to maintain the car for students, yes. So therefore, we don't really have carpooling in the campus, yes. So this is why the issue in rural areas arise. Yes. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for the insightful talk. Okay, so regarding as you mentioned that I think 13 cities in Japan that allows for short distance ride sharing. Out of curiosity, do you have any like a carpooling that is like intercity? So for example, a bit longer distance, because I think it's the case in Malaysia sometimes in the festive seasons, especially Hari Raya is coming in 2-3 weeks time, where some people might offer like some space in their car to go back to their hometown, and okay, you might cover some of the like petrol, for example. So do you see such cases in Japan where people like to offer spaces in the car for intercity travels?
Thank you very much for your questions. I think honestly, majority of carpooling services not really intercity, more like in the town or in the city base. Because if they try to go to A city to B cities, their opinion is different. Around A cities, if they are allowed to encouraged to do carpooling. But once we go to B city, they are not really encouraged to use carpooling. But the problem is one way is fine, but how about if we use multi-way trip, maybe driver need to wait or customer need to find another driver. But if we cannot use CTB, that'll be a problem. So basically then they tend to have only in the city. But Teisho Town is maybe only exception because intercity, because another town, the Teshio to Wakkanai. But the problem here is they only go to Teshio to Wakkanai. They cannot use in the town. Of course they can use, but most of users tend to go to the city. So yes, this is the issue. But maybe Teshio town can be a good cases. Yeah, if you try to seek more these kind of cases. But as far as I know, maybe we don't really have this kind of intercity travel. Yes.
Thank you. First, thank you so much for the very insightful talk. I'm just wondering, since you mentioned a lot about this spirit of mutual aid, is there any incentives taken by the Japanese government to kind of encourage this spirit of mutual aid thing, since they are lifting the ban on ride sharing, or like maybe something that Teshio Town has done, or all that kind of thing?
So thank you very much for your questions. Regarding the incentive, this is the biggest issue because we cannot provide incentive beyond the cost of cost sharing. Meaning to say, okay, for example, we need to bear 500 yen with one customer, but customer only provide half, means say 250 yen, Japanese yen. Okay, then if you try to provide 300 yen or something, this will be illegal. This is why Teshio town hall officer try to negotiate with the ministries how we can provide incentive to drivers. For example, okay, so one drive down, they can provide one like a coupon ticket, ticket like a discount ticket. Yes, only can use in the Teshio town, but ministry say this is impossible. Yes, then how about yes, something like this? So ticket, coupon, something like a gift from municipalities. They say impossible because this is related to financial things. This have value. Yes, so this is the biggest challenges in Japan. But since the Japanese government decided to lift, partially lifting the ban of carpooling, ride-hailing, but the situation doesn't change. Yes. So therefore, I have meeting with Teshio officer and the CEO of Notteco last week, but they also mentioned the same things. They cannot do. So far, they are kind of struggling, yes, to provide incentives. Yes. Yes.
ありがとうございます、Yosuke san. Okay, my name is Zach Cheong. I'm from Transit Malaysia. Okay, I would just like to share a little bit on carpooling in Malaysia. Actually, in the early 90s, our government have done like a campaign for carpooling. They encourage people to carpool and all that. But unfortunately, as you all know, it didn't take off, and we are stuck with e-hailing right now. And also my own experience, sometimes I would like to carpool with my friends and all that. And these are my friends, they are not strangers. So nothing about the perception of strangers going into my car. So many times I experience that people in Malaysia do not like to carpool because they wanted the freedom of movement after an event or before an event. So they would be like, it's very troublesome to carpool with or to share my ride with another person. So my question is that to Yosuke-san is that did you in your research dive into the mindset of Malaysians, like just now what I say about not wanting to share because of the freedom of movement before and after a ride? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions. Okay. So far, yes, I haven't done this kind of perception whether they want to carpool or not. Maybe I must do it, yes, because I have data from Japan. Yes, from Japan, maybe the situation is same. As you mentioned, they are not really willing to share the cars because of safety in the case of Japan, safety. But they don't really say about incentives, but just they are a bit scared, feel scared to share with others. But in the case of Teshio, because this is kind of like the first case to gain popularity around. Yeah, probably previously they also have this kind of experience, but this didn't reveal, right? But so maybe this kind of perception, whether they want to share, intention to share something, maybe I must research more. Yeah. Thank you very much. I learned from you. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you. I think we have time for about 2 more questions. So I saw 2 hands earlier. Okay, maybe I can pass to you first.
Thank you very much, Uchiyama-san, for your great sharing. And just maybe to add on to his point, I think a lot of the e-hailing services, just like, for example, Uber, I think it started off with the intention of carpooling. I remember like for example, 10 years ago, people used Uber, they really use it for carpool. But somehow it turns to like full-time driver, it becomes like a profit-based platform. I think same as Malaysia, if we want to introduce carpooling, it will end up to become a e-hailing services at the end. Yeah, so I think your point is very good that we need to have that mutual aid spirit. So I'm not sure if you have the opinions, like how can we do it? For example, do we park it under an existing e-hailing service, or we make a totally new platform with just as same strictness as the e-hailing service, so that the passenger are comfortable enough to use the service? Or just, for example, a very good community-based initiative that I see is like Facebook group, and people like to hike or they like to travel. They really, and for example, like beginner, they don't have experience, they really join that group and learn a lot of things and kind of really have that mutual aid. So what do you think, like, what is the better way of really going into carpooling and not ending up like another e-hailing services again? Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for your questions. Yes. Probably, in my opinion, as you mentioned, yes, we cannot replace from e-hailing to carpooling. This must be premise, honestly, because yes, but that's why we need to find some points that we really need the transportation. For example, as I mentioned, like focus on sparsely populated area, like mountainous area, hills, and campus. Yes, yes. Then, of course, one way is we can cooperate with existing services, e-hailing services such as Grab, because in the case of India, if we use Uber, we have Uber pool kind of things. Like they are allowed to do pooling somehow. I also experienced in India. Then we can just share the cost, and we can, something like this. Maybe we can make use of these kind of services. Now even Grab installed the Grab Saver, like around care area, because if you try to use, if you want to use Grab, but we are willing to wait more, the price is become a bit cheaper, something like this. So maybe maybe relying on existing services one way. Another way is, as you mentioned, like community based, but specifically on this kind of sparsely populated area, campuses. Maybe we use a WhatsApp group, for example, among students. Then they try to be active, right? They try to be active. Then they need to get presence. Then probably they will maybe company will invest for create this kind of service or something. But we need experience. We need a practice. So from this context, Malaysia we still need more practice, like Japan, like Tesho. Yes. Then once gain popularity, maybe media or someone automatically spread this kind of information, then become popular. Then this can be actual service, yes, to help more people. Yes. So this is my rough view. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
All right, thank you. I believe we have time for one more question. I think the gentleman at the back, perhaps you can reach out to the microphone. Thank you.
Hello, hi. Confirmation on the economic theory behind ride sharing versus carpooling. You were mentioning that ride sharing is profit driven, carpooling is cost reduction. Is that why the Japanese government is reluctant to incentivize carpooling? Because it will just create induced demand where more cars will professionally provide carpooling?
Okay, so thank you very much for your questions. Yes, as you say, e-hailing, yes, I call ride-hailing, okay? Ride-hailing and carpooling, yes. Ride-hailing itself is, as you say, more profit-based. Then carpooling is cost-share based. Then what is the difference is chargeability. But chargeability means if we beyond the cost of 50% of cost, if we need to pay more, government will restrict. So carpooling is just 50%. We need to divide the cost. Yes. Then if we go more, 60, 70, this will be considered. This can be considered ride-hailing, more business-based. Yes. So this is a kind of differences between two. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you so much. I believe that was a very insightful and very interactive Q&A session. Thank you so much to our speaker for the talk today. I believe we have a small gift-giving ceremony by the Asian Europe Institute. So perhaps you can come forward. May I ask our speaker to come back to the floor?
Oh, thank you very much.
So can you give me a microphone? I want to say something to...
Oh, no need to be public, but just small things.
Just very small?
So, no, it's okay. Yeah.
It's okay? Well, on behalf of the AES students, we choose some gift for you. I want to say congratulations on your graduation and your public speech.
Thank you.
We choose handmade biscuits from the Yokohama and buy some jersey. Yeah, the jersey is made from Japan, use the real sakura. This idea was come up with by Wen Sisi, one of our classmates. She says the sakura is the symbol of the spring. The spring is the starting of the new year. Nowadays, you are going to leaving school and going to the work. We wish you are like the sakura, get some successful in the foreseeable future. We wish you success. Thank you.